Good morning. This is your boy Stankysocks. I am a producer. I make music, and I am one of these struggling producers out here. And the reason why I struggle, let me take a sip of this coffee or tea, is not because of inconsistency. I've been putting up beats for years on BeatStars. I have about 500 beats. I've been doing a lot of mixtapes, a lot of little albums on SoundCloud and Spotify, um, and all over the internet. I think the reason why I struggle and most people struggle, and this is something that's been on my mind lately. This is my first journal entry of the Struggle Producer Chronicles. I think that's what it's going to be called. It might be called something different. But I'd say the struggles is because maybe my way of thinking of selling beats online is backwards. And I think a lot of times, a lot of our ways is backwards. We look at the sales and getting the sales first, and because we look at the sales like, man, I make this money, I can be living my dream of making music full time. But we never think about like the value we can bring to somebody, meaning the artist, fans, or whatever, because we're just more thinking and we live in our bubble. I would say that for me. I can't speak for you. You might be a lot different. You might be one of those producers that's bringing six figures every single month. You might, and there's nothing wrong if you are or you're not. I think we all have our starting points and where we want to be. For me, I want to make music because this is something I've always loved to do. I said I knew since 13 years old I wanted to make music. I've been making music since I was 19 years old, since 1999. I'm 41 now and still love making beats, love making hip hop, love listening to hip hop in general. And this is something I've always wanted to do. I've known this is what I wanted to do since Midnight Marauders came out. And, that kind of inspired me to want to be a producer and a rapper at that time. I still do rapping from now here and there because I just want to, when you don't have rappers to work with, sometimes you want to jump on your own production so you can show other people, hey, this is how, it could sound, you rapping on my production, hey, this is what a rapper would sound like or something like that, or in general. But let's get into the whole thing of the matter, and I think of these journals, and this is how this journal is going to be. It's not going to be a lot of beat making in here unless you want to see like somebody clicking, click, 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 because I'm trying to learn how to do chords and melodies and stuff like that. Kind of struggling at that. And that's kind of what I'm going to be doing today, because that's one of the things that I do plan on doing today. It's not really about beat making today. I made some beats yesterday. I made about 8 beats. I would say 2 or 3 of them are really tight. The others was like, I don't know. But today it's going to be more about making melodies, making some drum loops, so that way tomorrow I can be focused on making some beats for BeatStars going forward for November, because I kind of want to make, this is kind of my thing, is I want to be consistent regardless of whether sales or not. It's just consistency. And also I'm going to be chopping up some of these Christmas CDs. I've been making like Christmas hip hop albums since like 2004. And this is just something I kind of love doing around this time, is to chop up Christmas CDs. I got a few Christmas records in this apartment. I don't have a lot of records as I used to back like when I lived in Detroit, as opposed to living here in the desert in California. It's kind of hard to get around. That being said, let's get to the meat, or the of just bringing value. And what's been on my mind as of lately is that not so much worrying about how others bring value, but how do I bring value? Because the value, how do I bring value as a producer? And that goes more beyond just a beat, me selling an artist a beat, or and I make a few pennies or a few dollars off of it. That's what's been on my mind lately, because the same, like, I think a lot of times we look at online being totally different than real life, and they both go hand in hand. Like, if I want a girlfriend, I need to be thinking, what do I bring to the table? I just can't say, hey, it's just, hey, this is Stankysocks here, I'm Stankysocks and you should just love me for Stankysocks. But I don't have a job, I don't have any money, I don't have a car, I don't have a house. So any of the things that a woman would want in a man, other than him just, what she, sexually desires, Or even in that, like if I don't go to the gym, I don't take care of myself, but yet I want bad bitches. Seriously, I want bad bitches, but I don't do the things that are going to get me that, or I don't have the things. And the same as being a producer. And I guess this is something that's been on my mind, is like, what could I do? And I'm asking you guys, or whether you're listening, you're watching, because you might be sitting there like, well, you give me the clue. I don't have that clue. I think if I had that clue, maybe I would be in a different spot, in a different place. But I think this is what journal entry number 1. So we're gonna sit there. For me, what are things that rappers need? I know a lot of times you watch the videos and people be talking about mixing. Well, let's say you don't have those kind of skills of mixing, mastering, and something that is more than beats. Is sometimes just think about, like, even as a producer, exposure. Like for me, I think the biggest thing for me is I have a website, I have BeatStars, and I do see the benefit of having both. And I do think BeatStars, Airbit, and all these other places are great platforms. But I think not having the listens or the traffic, thinking that I need, because the beats could, or the beats might be suspect. I said some of, I would say, what, I'm probably a good 60 or 70% when I make beats. So meaning if I make, out of 100, probably, I got more bangers or things that are more slamming than they're not, and it's just over time. But I just think a lot of times, sometimes it's the listening, but the value and what do I bring to an artist that an artist can use. And I think this is something I've been thinking about as of lately, even on my website, because I think a lot of times we'll have somebody go to your website. Let's say you have stuff on SoundCloud and you have a link to your beat store or to your website. And what I kind of realized this too is that sometimes people might not be rappers or singers or stuff like that. They may be other producers and they just want to know who you are, or they might just be naturally fans of music and they like what you're bringing to the table and they want to know who you are. So like for today, for instance, I've been doing for the last for the last week is just doing like hip hop reviews and written reviews. So like on my website today it's gonna be Wale. I think yesterday it was it was the Far Side Bizarre Ride 2. And what I ultimately want to do with the blog or that page is I want to be able to write reviews on albums, whether it's mainstream artists, whether it's local artists here in California, whether it's underground artists, and not just underground as in, well, you'd say backpackers, but underground could be some dude on SoundCloud who raps over trap beats. Because this is like this. I think a lot of time, even for me to understand when I label like my beats underground, I have to understand too that it might be somebody who raps over trap, not necessarily over boom bap or old school kind of sounds. But this is something that I've really been thinking about lately. Like for my website, this is why I'm doing the blog of the reviews, kind of in the source. Like if the source was like a little bit more sillier, like back in the days, the source was like the magazine where I would read a lot. And for the reviews or for like the mics, for like instead of the mic system, I use my ugly mug as the mic system or the rating system for the albums on my site. But I wanted, instead of having that staunch New York bias like how they had it in the source, and I would buy a lot of CDs from New York artists that really weren't that good, that were less than what the source gave it. But I kind of want to do just and have it a little bit more humorous and funny. So when people do come to my site and just kind of do this on a daily or every other day doing reviews, is just to get people to engage. And I said, really, I think that's one part of it that I'm really coming to realize, just even online, whether it's rappers or producers, even with producers, people like, I'm a producer, and why would I want another? Because you don't see this is where the backwards thinking goes, is that a lot of times we look at it, you don't know what that connection can lead to. Because ultimately, for somebody to buy something from you, people have to trust you. They have to trust your brand. They have to trust that you, which you know, is to have, you know, it's just like if you getting with a chick. She gotta trust you to sleep with you. You know, she gotta, you know, feel comfortable to sleep with you. Just like somebody has to be comfortable to spend a lot of money on you. I don't care even if you know, you price your stuff to be $9 or $10. That might be a lot for somebody in another country. It might not be nothing to you here, but in another country, that might be a lot to another person. And for them to give off that $10, if they feel that you don't bring any kind of value to what they're doing, you don't take any interest into what their brand is, as them being a rapper and they're having a music career just as you and I want our music career, then how do you expect to grow? And this is something that's been on my mind as lately, and as I'm doing this journal and putting myself out there, I'm going to talk about the mistakes I've made, some of the strides and things that I want to do and I hope to accomplish, even just the day-by-day things that I'm doing. You, like I said, you might not see a whole lot of beat making on here, because I don't think that's what you want to really see, me just chop up stuff with a mouse. But what I do want to give you is just the information and things that I've gone through, and maybe you've gone through too, that you could share. Like, hey, I went through the same thing, or I'm going through the same thing, or this is what I'm doing to do that. And I think this is what I want this journal to be, or this journey to be, is that before we even get to thinking about sales, what value do we bring to the table other than beats? Because everybody and their mama has the ability to make beats. I just seen, Steph Curry is making beats now. Hell, you got not only do you got to compete with him on the basketball court and on 2K, you got to compete with Steph Curry making beats. Right? I'm like, damn. But definitely though, I'm not gonna hold up enough of your time. I gotta get to doing this Wale review. I'll give you a little what's on my mind right now as I'm listening to Wale. I wasn't familiar with his work as an artist. Like where I'm from, they don't play a lot of Wale. But I'll tell you this has been a surprise album for me, and I'm glad that I picked this up, and definitely gonna listen to a little bit more Wale. That being said, if you're an artist and you're a rapper and you're listening to, you're watching this video, and you got some music you want me to review, look, I'll put it on my site. I'm not gonna promise you that I'm gonna give you 5 Stankysocks faces. I can't promise you that. There's no bias. Like I said, I'm doing this to be unbiased. I'm going to give you my true opinion. Things I like, things I don't like. I may have a little bit of fun with you on your lyrics or something like that, but it's all good and fun. But I will also put a link into my little blog to wherever you're selling your art albums, or a website that's about you. Because like I said, I want to be able to bring value to whether it's producers or rappers, and that we do this together, because really you're not in this alone. If you think that you're just struggling, and look, I'm telling you as a person being straight up honest, I've sold 1 beat on BeatStars in 2 years. I've sold 6 beats on Airbit. I can't really sit. Yeah, if you're talking about struggling, yes, I have almost 1,000 songs and beats on SoundCloud. I have a whole bunch of albums under different aliases. So I'm telling you as somebody, yes, I know what the struggle is, and that's part of this journey. And I hope that these journals might help you, and hell, you might help me in the process, and I'll take that as well. I said, peace out till next time. My name is Stankysocks for the Struggling Producer Journal. Peace.